Hello, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Tuesday, and that means it's Tunisian Tuesday. So we are going to be doing a variation of the Tunisian knit stitch, and I'm just using my H hook or 5mm hook, and I just have a little bit of some worsted weight cotton yarn. I think it might be Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton. I'm not 100% since obviously the label is long gone. But we are going to do a swatch. And as I said, it is a variation of the Tunisian knit stitch. And I was playing around with some stitches and I was like, I haven't done anything with the knit stitch in a while, and this stitch was born. Maybe there is an actual stitch name for this, I don't know. I might have invented it. I don't like to say that I invented any stitches because this craft has been around for years and years and years, so I'm sure someone else came up with it a long time ago. Alright, so for this stitch pattern you can make a chain as long as you would like. So why don't we chain? We have 4, we could do 10. So I have 10 chains here. So we are just going to work our first row as a setup row. So I'm working in the back bump of my chain, and I'm going to pull up a loop in the second bump from my hook and just continue across. So if you've never done Tunisian crochet before, I do have a complete playlist that goes over the basics to get you started. Once you know the basics, then you'll be able to do pretty much whatever you would like with Tunisian crochet. So I am just pulling up loops, and with Tunisian crochet each row is made up of 2 parts. So the first part of your row is often called the forward pass, what we're doing right now, and that is we are putting our stitches on our hook. And then the second part of our row, which we'll be coming up to very soon, is often called the return pass, and that is where we take the stitches off of our hook. So here is my forward pass. So I'm going to start the return pass where we take the stitches off, and then that will count as 1 row. So you're going to yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row, and then my row 1 will be done. And there we go. So there is row 1 complete. So this variation of the Tunisian knit stitch is going to be worked is a 2-row repeat. So for row 2, this is the first part of the repeat. We are just going to work Tunisian knit all the way across. So when you are looking at your row here, you see these vertical bars. After we focus, thank you very much, camera. So when you spread it apart, you can kind of see. So here's that first vertical bar. So you can, looks like a little bit of like a chain that is upright. Usually when you work a chain, it looks like a letter V on its side, or this time it's kind of like a V right side up. So when you're making that Tunisian knit stitch, you're going to go right in the middle of that V, and so you poke your hook all the way through, pull up a loop, and you do that all the way across. So just working Tunisian knit all the way across. That one got really tight for some weird reason, but okay. And then your last stitch, it looks like a chain, and you go through that chain and pull up a loop. So I should still have 10 loops on my hook. That's what I started with, and now I'm going to work the return pass, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. Okay, so we have worked 1 row of knit. Now, the rule of thumb with Tunisian knit stitch is you work a couple rows and then the knitted stitch pattern really starts to pop. So the first one, you can see it a little bit. So what this does is it resembles the regular knitting knit stitch. So if you know what stockinette knit stitch looks like, this stitch pattern will look like that. The difference is between regular knitted when you're actually knitting and the Tunisian version is the knitted version has a lot more flexibility to it. So for instance, the sweater that I'm currently wearing here, so it's hard to tell because it's multicolored, you can see a little better here. So this is traditional knitted stockinette stitch. So the traditional knit stitch. And so you can see like it has some stretch to it, where the Tunisian version doesn't have a lot of give. So like you can see me, I'm pulling on it right now, and it's a pretty firm stitch. So I don't want to say that one is better than the other. Usually what I tell people is it just depends on what you're making. So if you want to make something that has a lot of structure to it and you want to have the look of stockinette, but again, you don't want to, you don't want it to have a lot of like stretch or give, you might want to use the Tunisian knit stitch. But again, if you want to make something that does have more flexibility to it, like for instance, the regular knitted stockinette, then this might be the better choice. So it just depends on what you're making is how I usually like to determine what to do. All right, so let's begin row 2. So row 2, as I said, it's a variation of the Tunisian knit stitch. So let's look at this here so that we can understand. So when you're looking at the stitch, you can kind of start to see where it looks like the stockinette stitch here. So if we were working regular Tunisian stockinette stitch knit, you would just poke your hole right through there. But what we're going to do is, so you can see where it looks like a V here, we're just going to pull up this loop behind here. So right back there. So instead of going all the way in, so basically we're working Tunisian simple, but a normal Tunisian simple is we would use this vertical bar here. We're going to go to the one in the back and put our hook in there. So it's still going to look like a Tunisian knit stitch, but just a tiny bit different. I think it looks really neat. So the first one's kind of easy to see. So I'm spreading it apart and you can see the 2 vertical bars. So here's the one you would normally work in for Tunisian simple, but we're going to go into the one next to it and pull up a loop. And we're going to go to the next one. So here's the one you would normally work in, but you kind of spread it apart to the one in the back there and work Tunisian simple. And we're just going to go all the way across doing that. So what I like to do is when I spread it apart, you see that space right there? I stick my hook in there and then my hook automatically kind of catches that loop in the back and bring it forward and work the Tunisian simple. So I go in that space and then I just catch that loop and work the stitch. So I think I have 9 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I have 1 stitch left where we are working in what looks like a chain. And I have my 10 loops on my hook. Now this stitch pattern will curl. You can already see it's curling. Tunisian's kind of notorious for that. So we're going to do the return pass like normal. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So as I said before, Tunisian often is a curler. So what I suggest is if, let's say, you wanted to make a blanket or something out of this stitch pattern, then you might want to have like a border of purl stitches, and that will help with the curling. Okay, so we have worked row 3, and so now what you're going to do is just repeat rows 2 and 3. So row 4 here, we are going to work Tunisian knit. So I'm just going in that vertical bar and all the way through to work the knit stitch. So now you can see it a little bit better, how you can see that V there, but we're going to go through it to work the knit. So it kind of looks like it's a little bit twisted when you do it this way, so maybe it's the twisted knit stitch, I don't know. I just think it looks neat and it's easy. And it's also a very, you know, it's not a lacy type stitch. So if you wanted something that wasn't see-through, this would be a really good choice. So we're just working the return pass like normal. Okay, so then row 5, we are going to do that little variation. So you can really see that space there now. I'm going to insert my hook in that space, and then it just catches on that vertical bar in the back and work that Tunisian simple. So here's the second one. So I'm going through that space, bringing that loop forward, going in that space, bringing that loop forward, working the Tunisian simple. So as I said before, you'll repeat rows 2 and 3 for however long you want your swatch. Okay, so here we go. I have worked 16 rows. I ended on a row 2. So as you can see, that's what we got going on. It's definitely a curler. But let's work the bind off row. So as I said before, you want to end on a row 2, just a regular knit row. So we're going to bind off in pattern. So we're going to work like we're working a row 3. So we're going to insert our hook in that space, bring up that loop in the back, and then just work the bind off stitch. And you're going to do that all the way across. So this is just keeping with the pattern. So I'm at the end of my row, working in that last stitch that looks like a chain, and just working the bind off. So there we go. So I went ahead and I made another swatch of just regular knit, so you can see the difference of the stitches, how this one, you definitely can see the knit stitches, but it is slightly different than just a regular Tunisian knit stitch. So as you can see, this looks very similar to my sweater here of the stockinette. Sorry, it's got that multicolored, so it's not showing up as well. But you can see that it's definitely a similar look, but this one has a lot more stretch, where this guy does not. Definitely more structured. Same with this version of the knit stitch. It doesn't have a whole lot of stretch here, but it's a neat looking stitch, and it's nice if you wanted to make something that wasn't see-through. This would be a really good choice. But I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.